I'm thinking about the season of the McLaren last year. It's important to score good points. Even we are not on the podium, it's not a problem. We just have to score good points, maybe top 4, top 5.
Thanks a lot, Benjamin. Have a good race.
Well, he is certainly one of the front runners in the championship on Bonjamin-Larouche. A long way back on the grid, but he's had 2 wins this year. There's his co-driver, Robert Consani, who will take over for the second stint and then start tomorrow's race. The grid is 44 strong, and of course with mandatory pit stops as well, it is going to be very busy. It's busy on the grid as well. Alex Legui is down there as well. She has found Mackenzie Cresswell, one of the 2 drivers of the number 78 Elite Motorsport McLaren in his first year in GT4.
Mackenzie, here you guys are in pole position, exactly where you need to be, but how good is that straight line speed? You've got to get to that first corner first, otherwise there could be trouble.
Yeah, that's the one weak point of this car. It handles really nicely. It's a joy to drive, but its straight line speed is not as strong as other cars. So, yeah, as you said, we need to get down into turn 1 in the lead. And then especially coming out of Eau Rouge is quite a long straight down to Lake Coombe. So fingers crossed if we stay in the lead into there, I think we should be okay. I think the pace is strong enough.
Yeah, okay. You've kept an eye on who's around you. You have some quite strong threats very close. Who do you feel is your biggest threat at the moment?
It's always difficult to say because the conditions are different to quali, but the other McLaren's always really fast. So I think they'll be hot on our heels the whole race. But then obviously the Porsche behind is also fast. Same with the Audi, championship leader. So I think it's always going to be a bit of a struggle around here because it is possible to overtake. But I think we just need to do the best job we can and see what happens.
Like in the dry weather, or are you doing a rain dance?
I don't mind, either way. It's the same for everyone, so.
Fair play. Thank you. Best of luck.
Mackenzie Cresswell then sharing with Josh Rattigan, last year's Silver Cup champion. It's been a tough start, Joe Osborne, to the season for the McLarens, hasn't it?
Yeah, they've flattered to deceive after winning the championship last year. They just haven't managed to get the pace together, but that has changed this weekend, it seems, after the qualifyings we've seen from them.
Another quick car has been the Lotus that we have in the championship. Stefano D'Aste prepares it, drives it very quickly, and he's in conversation with Gunnell.
Stefano D'Aste starting from pole position in the Pro-Am class, second row on this grid. There's a great opportunity for you guys to score your first win this season.
Yeah, we were a little bit unlucky in Zandvoort because due to 3 tenths in the pit, we got a penalty. But now, yes, we have a very great chance, and we will try our best to use it in the best way.
Have a good race. Thank you.
So Stefano D'Aste, former Alfa Romeo touring car racer, runs a Lotus preparation business. And there you can see the grid stretching all the way back with a great variety of brands that we have, with Ford, with Audi, with Aston Martin, with McLaren, Mercedes AMG, BMW. There are plenty of Porsches as well, plus the Lotus, plus Ginettas. I'm bound to have missed some as well. Toyota, yes, are represented on that grid also. It's going to be a fascinating race as ever. Mandatory pit stops between 25 and 35 minutes. 121 seconds is the pit stop line to line. No compensation times in this. It's the same pit stop time for everybody. And it's a busy old grid, as you can see. The guests, the dignitaries, the VIPs gradually will make their way back to the pit lane. At the 1 minute board, the engines will fire up. The mechanics will then make their way off the grid as well. And then this first race of the weekend for the GT4 European Series will be underway. It'll be a rolling start, of course. And the field will make its way around what is now, thankfully, a bone-dry circuit for the purposes of this race. Whether it's going to be a dry weekend remains to be seen. Alex is busy on the grid because she has now found Hendrik Still, who is the championship leader in Pro-Am.
I feel like it would be very rude if I didn't have a grid interview with you now. A little birdie tells me that this car right in front of you doesn't have the best straight line speed. So you do?
Yeah, maybe Henrik is able to overtake him in the first corner. We will see, but we're not looking for the full race win. We just want to have a lot of points, our counting table, because we are leading in Pro-Am, and that's the main target.
Yeah, okay, so damage limitation, focus on the fact that Spa, keep yourself out of mischief.
No track limits, that's the main issue to do, because it's very easy to have track limits. And
Mr. Big ஓகேவாலா நாங்க ஒரு கப்பல் ட்ரிப் போனோம் அது ரொம்ப ஸ்பெஷலா இருக்கணும் ஆனா இங்க ரெண்டு
clowning around, boys. Have a good one.
Late change of plan. Henrik still in the car, bit busy. So we hear from Joachim Bolting, his co-driver, who will take the second stint today and the start stint tomorrow. Plenty of exciting liveries on the cars, including the AV Racing Porsche that was in the tyre barrier this morning of Mathieu Detry and Fabien Duffier, but the car repaired and should be quick.
Yeah, it was just Mathieu with a simple mistake. He said he dropped a wheel on the white line and the car made it to the barrier, but not too much damage. And we saw the sister car doing a similar thing there at Pouhon, but completely different conditions. Actually quite warm out there. Look at all the heat haze flooding off the cars. Still got an ambient temperature of 21.5 degrees, track temp 24.2, and the humidity has dropped slightly, 78. And what a beautiful evening to go motor racing. Doesn't quite look real, does it? Looks like a racing game simulation with that sun flare over the hill.
It doesn't look like the same day as it was when we were talking about the heavy rain earlier on. So the grid is good to go. The engines will fire shortly, and the delays in the timetable, all caused really by a sizable stoppage in the Superpole session for the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, mean that there's a greater chance of this going into more darkness, isn't it? Because although we're, of course, at the end of June and there's a lot of natural light around, just starting it that little bit later will push it towards darkness.
Yeah, that could be a car to watch. Aston Miller aboard the 81. So we've got an elite front and rear car. That 81 is not being run by Elite. It's been loaned to RAFA Racing. Aston Miller, a very fast driver, a driver I spend a lot of time with and tried to improve as a person. So let's see how he can do from last place on the grid.
Emil Schurash there in the Toyota Gazoo Racing Team Sweden Supra. Good to have him back on the grid. Qualified 8th this morning. Shares the car with Hans Holmlund, and he's, of course, the man behind the wheel. He will start. For the Swedish squad, the lure of Spa brings them back into the European Series. So the last few minutes of the countdown almost done. And very shortly, of course, engines will fire. The grid will lose the last engineer on that 1 minute board, and then a rolling start. Mandatory pit stops. There's one car that doesn't have a second driver. It is the Tamil actor Ajith Kumar, Mike Simpson, joining Ethan Gialdini. Mike, we know, he's very, very quick in Ginettas. He races them. He runs the company these days, effectively. He's the CEO of Ginetta, and a very quick racing driver in his own right. That car operated by the CMR team, Classic Modern Racing. 1 minute board shown, engines fire, grid is cleared. We're getting closer to going racing here. The last activity of a really busy day. It's really busy tomorrow as well here at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. So doors close, Slave battery is taken off the grid, and looking down from the drone, you can see the Mercedes, BMW, Porsches stretching further up the grid. Mercedes AMG GT4s in profusion. There are BMWs to keep an eye on there. The Ford Mustang with the distinctive NASCAR style 61 aboard it on the roof. The car of Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti. They are 23rd on the grid and double winners this year, so they're a long way back, and certainly a crew to watch. They're the paint-splattered Vili Motorsport BMW, the Romanian team. 15-second board, so very shortly the lead car, as it will be, pace car effectively, will blast away, and then on instruction, race cars will be marshalled away from the grid as well. Hendrik Still's Porsche there, the blue-fronted, orange-backed car, sets off. The Lotus of Stefano D'Este alongside. Green flag, as you can see, being vigorously waved. And the cars turn their way through La Source. Scene of plenty of drama during the course of today. And the field then drops downhill. Speed building, temperatures dropping, but a chance to get some warmth into the tyres here.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game, no tyre ovens. Only the GT3 cars out of any of the categories here this weekend that get tyre ovens. So they've really got to work these tyres in cooling evening conditions here at Spa.
So it is on pole position a McLaren, indeed another McLaren alongside, run by two different teams. The front of the grid has Josh Rattigan on pole position for Elite Motorsport, and Charlie Hart for RAFA Racing Club starts second. Hendrik Still's Porsche third, and the Lotus of Stefano D'Este is fourth, ahead of another of the Audis that we need to look for, Greg Gilbert's car, and Mathieu Detry, a winner in French GT already this season. He will start sixth. Seventh is Mike Simpson. Eighth on the grid is Emil Schurash in the Toyota Supra. He, in turn, is ahead of the Turkish driver Berkay Beşler and Jurian de Back in another of the Porsche Caymans. Benjamin Lariche one to watch, again double winner this year, but a long way back on the 6th row, ahead of Nathan van Springel, then Victor Bouveng for the Schubert Motorsport team, and another BMW of the Chazelle Technology course squad for Lucas Cartel alongside. Sergio Nicolai for Villi Motorsport is next, ahead of the quick Spanish driver Luc Ibanez. Ricardo van der Ende has been a winner here in the past. He lines up alongside single-seater convert Adrian David. Then Stanislav Savronov, second in Pro-Am in the championship, lines up alongside Jagish Gedich. Then you've got Roberto Faria alongside Will Autumn. And on the 12th row of the grid, with masses of work to do here, is the American-Canadian partnership of Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti. On the outside of that 12th row, Vasily Vladnikin, ahead of Vinny Beltramelli, who's had a win in Pro-Am this year. Hugo Moccia starts in the family's Ginetta. Then you have got Frederic Capras with another of the Caymans, alongside the American driver Jason Hart. Denny Bent is next with Gabriele Yochova for company on row 15. Row 16, Matt, son of rally champion David Higgins, having his first GT4 European Series outing. And Meloni Jr., Davide Meloni, starts on the outside of the row. On row 17, after a spinning qualifying, Baudouin Bertou and Gustavo Xavier is alongside him. Julien Rippert's Audi had problems in qualifying, but is on the grid, as is the Porsche of Daniel Blichler. Then Anthony de Bahn on the 19th row with Christopher Brunhagen for company. Elias Niskanen is on the 20th row with Igor Sorokin's Mercedes alongside. Stefan Nielsen will be on the inside of row 21. The outside of that row is Ajith Kumar, and then in the Seifert Audi, Bent Scheibler is next on the 22nd and back row, with Aston Miller brought in to replace Julius Dinnerson, who crashed the team's original car. Because it's a change of chassis and a change of driver, a 20-place grid drop given for both races, and there the RAFA Racing Club team have borrowed a car off Elite Motorsport, who've also lent them people to run it, and effectively a driver as well. Zach Meekin takes the second stint. Aston Miller will go first. And this is Nathan van Springel's view as the cars now make their way up through the Cour Paul Frere. They're getting themselves in order, and we're not far then off an hour of racing here at Spa.
Yeah, that Mustang felt like it was towering above the Audi, and it is from the outside as well. Completely different concepts of cars there as we go on board the Porsche 28 of Kumar towards the back of the grid. Did see a stronger showing, didn't we, through the middle of Q2. He was actually third in the AM class, did drop away towards the end as we see that beautiful leading Maserati car, almost that Vita for one GT1 MC 12. Oof, yeah, it shows my age. I was trying to say 20. I'm still young. I'm still cool. And yeah, that was probably my favourite car ever. It was like an Enzo, but more beautiful somehow, I always thought.
Yeah, Michael Bartels was the man behind the Vita phone, then Vita 4-1 teams, and it went Celine, Maserati, Ferrari, BMW Z4 from memory. Right, into order they get. So coming now through Blanchiment. Of course, everybody with the same spec of car, balance of performance to equate them all, but we have the only categorisation for the classes being on driver grading. That Maserati, fittingly, a man that has won the Spa 24 Hours in a Maserati, Andrea Bertolini, development driver these days for Ferrari and for Maserati, and he won the 24 Hours in the equivalent colours, those Vitaphone colours, and he brings the leading car towards the pit lane, harking back to those days of FIA GT racing here. So the pit lane beckons for the Maserati, an hour of racing beckons for the teams then. The leading car goes for the pit lane. It's now to Josh Rattigan in the yellow McLaren to control the pace. He's got Charlie Hart's white one alongside him. Up towards the timing line they come, and race one for GT4 European Series is go. Lights go to green. Good start by Rattigan then. Up the inside comes the Porsche of Hendrik Still. Everybody crowds towards the inside line. Mike Simpson's Ginetta is also looking to try to gain ground, and then three abreast, almost four abreast in mid-pack. They come out of the hairpin. One or two get run out wide, and there's a McLaren in trouble. There's a damaged Mustang as well, because Eric Evans has been turned around. There's bodywork in the gravel. He's been hit by a BMW. That's almost a repeat of an accident we had in the McLaren race early on. But coming downhill, you can see there's another very slow car. It's the Lotus, I think, that has got a big problem, Stefano D'Aste. Others are struggling to get round Eau Rouge without drama. It's all kicked off. Yeah,
I think it was a Ginetta safety car called. I think it was a Ginetta that harpooned the Mustang, and that isn't a fair fight. The Ginetta picked the wrong battle there, and I saw the front of that destroyed. Couldn't see why the Lotus was so heavily damaged, or why it was running slow. Still can't see anything obvious focus on that car. That BMW got caught up in the Mustang at turn 1, and they have had to park up. They're done for the day. A lot of damage, and there's the Ginetta in the background, carrying a huge amount of damage on the front end.
Anthony de Barn's BMW then is out of the race, and that's a car that's had great success this year with, what, 3 class wins in AM. The Ginetta, is that the Mojica car, or is that Mike Simpson's car?
Mojica, yeah.
Hugo Mojica. So that's done.
Wow, steam-powered.
Absolutely, yeah. 1 lump or 2. So that's very, very mangled indeed. Fascinating to see what's under the bonnet, but that's going no further. And Julien Rippert's Audi, in avoidance, has ended up in the gravel as well. So this is going to take a bit of sorting out. Wouldn't be a surprise, in fact, if the cars came through the pits to let the track workers have a bit more time there.
Yeah, common theme today with the support race. I think the 3rd time we've seen it. There's a Ginetta bonnet being manhandled, and yeah, the Audi driver quite rightly frustrated. Huge amount of damage on the left side, ripped all the side off, and yeah, has gone it. And it's going to be hard for that car to get recovered quite simply. You're going to try and drag it, but that's then going to bring on a load of gravel onto the track potentially. And there's the damage on the 61 car.
So Eric Evans got turned around and then hit. You're right, the Ginetta picked the wrong battle, so did the BMW, because both of those have got a lot of damage. The Mustang has damage, yes, but could have been a lot worse. A bit like Tatton's, aren't we?
Yeah, we saw it Zandvoort took a big hit to the side and continued without too much problem. The sill fell off in the end, so let's try and pick this apart. It's right in the mid-pack. The front is pretty clean, and I could see a black BMW screwing around. I thought that was going to be a hot spot. That was okay, and then suddenly a bit to our right, Ginetta is going to get in the back of that Mustang, and I don't know if the Mustang was actually rotated already and the Ginetta had nowhere to go. Then a Porsche, sorry, the Audi comes in. There's the BMW getting damaged. So look left of shot. We're trying to spot what rotates that 61 Mustang, and it was the Ginetta as first suspected. It's got in too hot and it couldn't slow down. It had to use that rather large Ford Mustang to get rid of some of its entry speed.
And the Audi was in the middle, wasn't it? I thought he'd gone off in avoidance, but he was in the Mustang, and then the BMW piled in, and the Audi just eventually coasts into the gravel. So at the moment, everybody's coming down the pit lane. Eric Evans gets going again. Let's have a look from the back. This might show the Ginetta's wild dive up the inside. Just going under the gantry now. Hold on the brakes. Mega, mega, mega lunge. Bang.
I was distracted with the Porsche in front of it, the yellow and white Porsche. He was trying to outbrake him, and then by the time he realised I need to be on the brakes, he was probably coming in 20, 30 kilometres an hour too fast, and it was a big contact, and that was unfortunately all fault on that Ginetta. Nothing the Mustang could have done differently.
So the incident has been noted. Anticipate action to be taken post-race. So now there's debris to be cleared, there's liquid to be soaked up. That Audi is wrecked, isn't it? I mean, it was sort of hit partly by the BMW that arrived of Anthony de Barn. It had already suffered damage by getting into the stricken Mustang and then ending up in the gravel bed as well. But there's a huge amount of damage on that car. Down the pit road they all come. So this is part of the racetrack at the moment.
Yeah, nearly a kilometre of pit lane here when we link the two up. And you think of the damage done on that Audi at the lowest speed corner of the lap as well. But the inertia and momentum of these cars, even at 80 kilometres an hour, can do a huge amount of damage. And that's going to give the team a lot of work to do tonight. There's a lot of parts they will need to get that car ready for tomorrow's race.
Certainly is. So right now we are under safety car conditions. We've seen a lot of the safety car here. There, as they come out of the pit lane, is the stricken BMW. So they can't accelerate too keenly because they've got to dodge past Anthony de Barn's car. I don't think Eric Evans is having an easy drive in a rather crab-like Mustang.
Yeah, you can see where his hand is on the steering wheel. He's got nearly 90 degrees of left hand down to go straight there, as we see another Maserati MC20, this time out on track. There's the Lotus getting picked up. Still haven't been able to work out why that car has got a problem. And it's hard for the track recovery team to get to that BMW while we're using pit lane. They've almost got to go onto the racetrack to recover it that way. But I think maybe all the vehicles at the moment are being used to recover the vehicles strewn around Sector 1.
So the Lotus of Stefano D'Este is being retrieved. Safety car confirmed. We have seen there the Maserati bringing the field down to Bruxelles. And Henrik still in the lead of the race. So that's a Pro-Am car ahead of the Silvers. We've got Silver with Josh Rattigan at the helm of the leading car in that class, and also Am. Right, on board, Nathan van Springel, Mustang. Blast off.
So it was all getting tight on the inside. The accident is going to behind us. Keep an eye on that yellow Lotus. Let's see if we can see him get roughed up at all. What's going on with 3 wide? We've got 2 on the inside. Checks up a bit there. You can see a bit of a swing in front of us. The Lotus now already going slow and had to bail to the left there. Now going on board with Kumar. We'll see all of it kicking off in front of us. About 8 cars in front. You'll see the Mustang get harpooned potentially here, and it's going to suddenly be there. The yellow flag already out, and we've got to make a decision and get through all that bodywork. There's the Audi, there's the BMW that pulls off at the bottom of Eau Rouge. You can see the front right damage flapping away, and he did well to pick his way through that.
Robert Consonny looking on for Team Speed Car. I just wonder whether it might be something mechanical, like a drive shaft or something in that Lotus, rather than it being roughed up. Maybe something broke as he grabbed a gear coming out of the hairpin, because it didn't seem to pick up pace and it didn't look damaged.
Anything is possible, that's for sure.
Especially in GT4. So Stefano D'Aste's car also being retrieved. So that's the circuit at La Source. Joel Dorval, the race director, in charge of all of this. There's the Lotus being put away behind the barriers. So we're not going to get much of an opportunity to have a look at that, but I didn't really see it being hit. It may have been, but we'll try and unravel. This is Van Springel's view in the Mustang. You can see that in-car marshalling display. The SC legend is there, and the flashing yellow surround to get the driver's attention. And he's weaving left and right to get some more warmth into the tyres.
I love it. As soon as it accelerates, it feels like the ground is moving beneath us. That V8 really good. Another V8, this time in the 61 Mustang. Looks like they're calling that a day. I'm not surprised. Huge amount of bodywork damage, and I think there was suspension damage. Look at the door. It nearly fell off its hinges when the door was open there.
And if he slams it, it probably will fall off. But yes, there was a very disgruntled team overseeing all of that. Big, big shame, especially for the championship, because with 2 wins for Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti, they are against that Audi there going through the multicoloured car of Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consonny. So they can ill afford here to hemorrhage points, especially if the Audi ends up scoring well and it's gained ground because of other people retiring already.
Yeah, and it's even more annoying when it's nothing to do with you. You haven't done anything wrong. You've done well at turn 1, you've got the car through there, and then you just get harpooned on the rear right. So like I said, there's nothing he could have done different. He wouldn't have even seen the car coming. The first inkling he would have had was as he was turned around.
So I think we're going to be able to use the track this time when they come out of the chicane, and that therefore means that we're clear at La Source. And if we follow the pattern of earlier races where we've had to use the pit lane under the safety car, it'll be 1 passing through the incident zone, and then we should be able to go racing at the end of this lap. Just gives the drivers a chance to see that the track is clear, but also see if any cement dust has needed to be put down and if there's a hint of any gravel offline or whatever there might be. That is Charlie Hart, second on the grid. He dropped back as well, didn't he, coming through La Source on that first lap, down from 2nd to 4th.
Yeah, right on the cusp as well, attracting the attention of the race control. Their drivers are told to go over the grid boxes, and he wasn't quite right over them, so I think he'll just about get away with it. But if we get a replay of the start at some point, you'll see he wasn't quite over those grid boxes as the lights go green, so that'll be right on the attention of race control, I think.
Let's have a look at the Lotus this time. A replay package of the start coming up. Into the corner. It doesn't look like D'Aste got clipped there, but then coming out of the corner, this already is where it's slow. There's the Mustang spinning into view. Safety car in this lap in the background. That's the voice of Joel Dorval, the race director. As I wonder if the BMW hit the Audi and pushed it into the Mustang, or they just all arrived at the same time. Anyway, net result is damage all round. Eric Evans drags the mortal remains away. And the DD continues. In the gravel then is 44 Audi and a vain spin of the wheel. It's already got broken suspension on top of everything else. Have a look at the Lotus then. It's just slow through the corner, gets a bit of a tap in the back, but it was already slow.
Yeah, that's why he got a tap in the back, wasn't it? Everyone does well to avoid it there. And yeah, still the Audi just comes in with so much pace. That's quite hard. It's almost like a magician's trick. He just arrives there in the middle of that crash, and you don't really see how he gets there. Maybe this will show where that orange Audi, the 44 car, comes. Yeah, the Lotus has just got no drive. It's just gravity pushing it down the hill, it seems, at that point.
Yeah. Hemorrhaging places, wasn't it, coming out of La Source? So, like I say, almost like he went up through the gears and something broke. Or anyway, it's out of the race. Sadly, we're going to go back racing this time. And there you can see the field streaming up through Radion on that opening lap of the race. And the Lotus trying to get out of everybody's way. There's your damaged Ginetta. Hugo Mojica carrying on, but not for very long. So in the background, the Lotus on its way back to the paddock. You can see on the flatbed, safety car's going to be in this time. And we've had the first 10 minutes of the race. We've had a lot of safety cars today, a lot of interruptions in support races, which let's hope is not an omen for the 24 hours. Still a busy grid. The teams race again tomorrow, late morning, early afternoon slot. Very much a race for the fans tomorrow to look forward to in the build-up to the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Great variety in GT4. We were saying this morning how races are exciting these days, but without the same amount of damage that we had a few years ago. So really glad you said that, Jake.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was you that said that, David, so thank you for that.
There's your Lotus being taken away. Real shame that, because Stefano D'Aste and, in fairness, Alberto Nasca, his co-driver, had both done a good job in qualifying. Yeah, exactly that. And something's got to break at some point, of course, in a race car, but for it to be on the exit of turn 1 on lap 1 feels impressively frustrating. So now Hendrik Still starts to back them all up, ready for the resumption of the race. The number 32 Porsche leading outright, although that's not his battle. He wants to win the class, doesn't he? Yes, an outright win would be great, but it's Pro-Am points, the Pro-Am championship that he's after. Josh Rattigan is behind him, as you look there at Joachim Bolting in the turquoise overalls. Max Kronberg was the man standing next to him, another former co-driver of Hendrik Still. So here they come, and Still on the loud pedal. Into the chicane then, the clown on the side is going to keep on smiling if that car's in the lead. A big, big field still surviving all the rigours, although there's a bit of a nudge between Mike Simpson and then behind him Bekke Besler, the BMW tickling the tail of the Ginetta. We're back racing, green flag flies at Spa. Hendrik Still is the leader, Josh Rattigan is second, and Greg Gilver weaving around to get the tyres up to temperature in the green Audi. He's third. Yeah, former Ginetta junior Charlie Hart there really backed everyone up behind him, and that caught Mike Simpson out. I don't know if that was Mike Simpson being politically correct with a former customer, but he backed out of it, and that's what got him roughed up. We've all made it through turn 1 thus far. Battles raging all the way through to Eau Rouge. Some cars having to defend, trying to block off moves there. This BMW, the 12, is going to get a good run, I think, on the Audi. Different shaped cars, but that BMW's been very strong end of the straight. So Bekke Besler in the Borissan Automotive Motorsport BMW, trying to get past Benjamin-Lariche. 7th and 8th they run, now 6th and 7th they run indeed as they break the beam at the sector. Going to Les Combes, no change for the position, so for the moment they're hanging on to it, and Bekke Besler goes up towards Les Combes now, heading down towards the right-hander of Bruxelles. It is Hendrik Still in the lead then, Josh Rattigan second, Greg Gilver third. Big dive up the inside there. BMW number 310 of Sergio Nicolai goes through, and a big slide in the background there from Emil Chorash in the Toyota. The Supra sideways for a moment, but he survives the experience. Down the hill they drop as Bekke Besler has not managed to find a way past Benjamin-Lariche. Lariche ahead of him now, and it was the other way around, I think, at the start of the lap. Yeah, that Toyota in the mid-pack, the Supra's got zero pace at the moment. The 310 BMW has gapped him. I think there was a bit of contact between the 20 BMW behind that Supra at turn 8 Brussels, as we've got a move there. The Mercedes trying to get down the inside of the Porsche. Toyota very wide there. That's kicking up a load of dust. That's going to have dirty tyres for a few corners, and it's got into the gravel trap in the background. Was that a problem, or was that a legacy of having dirty tyres? That's the car that's third in the championship in silver. So Hadrian David out of the race, and that's significant as far as the championship situation is concerned. So if they carry on like this, it's going to really play into the hands of Benjamin-Lariche and Robert Constantly, because that's two rivals that have ended up with problems, and this could be another interruption to get that out of the way. There's a lot of steam by the look of it coming out of the front, so it may well be mechanical, or he may have tapped the back of somebody, which has triggered the steam, which has triggered the off. Yeah, that could be there. Something flying off the front of the Audi. It might have just been a bit of debris. Yellow flag in sector 2, unsurprisingly. I wonder if he had a bit of front contact and he was dropping water onto his own tyres, and that's why he ran wide into the first part of Piff Paff and then couldn't make the left and the second part. Hard decision for race control here with what to do. The car's in a relatively safe place because it's very far off in quite an unused part of the gravel trap, but if one car can get there, another one can too. Meanwhile, there, going up the inside in Aston Martin number 5 is Roberto Faria. He was 18th as he came across the line, looking to get past Stanislav Safronov.
Shiru, hi.
May I help you?
Oi, तुम्हारा Lion King यहाँ है नेहा.
Second to the good as the cars come past the endurance pits. There is Faria now. Benjamin is starting to piece together a real attack.
Yeah, for sure. Farrier really with a bit between his teeth. Looks like he's a man on the move.
Full course yellow coming, Joe, sorry.
That's right, yeah, 10 seconds. So the drivers will be warned of this over the radio, but also on that driver display. You can see the BMW glowing brake disc. It was on the brakes that hard. All cars to 80 kilometers an hour. And yeah, some damage there. And you can see the tyre marks. So it'd been wide at this part. That's why I saw it in the corner of my eye. And then when it's tried to turn left, the front axle has not agreed with that motion, and it's carried on a forward trajectory.
Adrien David then out of the car. Let us have another look as through the piff-paff they come. If you look at the top of the screen, you'll see in a moment the Supra arriving. And off it has already gone through the gravel, gets as far as the barrier, job done.
Yeah, still from this angle you can't see the damage, can you? So was it something going on before, or was it the dirty tyres have then not allowed him to turn? I don't think it's my latter analogy. I think it's got to be a formal one, but I don't know where he would have picked the damage up coming into Piff-Paff.
So Adrien David's day is done. That deprives Jan Doran of a chance to get into the car, and another interruption then. Full course yellow this time, so the race director hoping that car can be moved quickly. The new generation of Pirelli tyre seems to turn back on quicker than an old, and therefore we're seeing far more uses of full course yellows back to green than the necessity to go to a safety car to get things back up to speed and temperature as we used to. Of course, before that vehicle drives backwards and hoiks the Toyota, they need all the race cars to go by, but the rope is already connected, and so Adrien David put back in the car ready to steer it as required. A full course yellow legend now on that in-car marshalling display for Nathan van Springel.
The marshals and the recovery crews here, I love moaning about stuff in life, but I can't, only about you, I can't fault the recovery crews here. They have been on it, second to none. Every time there's a car, the pickup truck's already there, recovery truck's there. So kudos to them on the ground, but race control as well for controlling it. And I feel like we're getting 1 or 2 extra racing laps every incident over some other circuits. So to finish on a moan, other circuits should take a good look at Spa and how they operate these recoveries, because they are really second to none.
Next week in Soapbox Corner, Joe Osborne will be discussing. So there's the race control team then, looking at all the closed circuit pictures, looking at these pictures, and hoping they can say we can go green next time. But I don't think it's going to be on this lap. There's just too much work still to be done. So one more lap under a full course yellow for Hendrik still. He'll be frustrated by this because as the quicker driver, he wants to get out there and build a gap for Joachim Bolting to preserve. And the safety car is now being called. So it matters perhaps a little bit less for the silver drivers, because in theory they're of a comparable pace. That's Hans Holmland looking on and thinking this is a frustration. But yeah, it is going to take just that little bit longer. And I suppose the other element to all of this is that we are now at 9:45 at night, so the temperatures are dropping.
Yeah, they could have been. The tyres weren't even fully up to temperature by the time that full course yellow was cooled. And depending on how they get that on the flatbed, I've got a feeling this could literally be a safety car, pick them up on the exit of Eau Rouge and maybe come back in at the end of this lap, because that's going to be 7 kilometres of safety car pace plus, because the safety car is already there. So Hendrik still doing a pretty good job at guessing the pace the race director wants to catch up safely but quickly.
Well, after all these interruptions, Hendrik is still in the lead by a notional margin over Josh Rattigan now that the safety car has been deployed. It's Greg Gilver third, it's Charlie Hart fourth, Mike Simpson is fifth, Benjamin Lariche in sixth, seventh is Berke Bejler, eighth, second in Pro-Am is Victor Bouveng's BMW, ninth, third in Pro-Am is Mathieu Dietrich, and 10th is number 1 Mustang of Nathan van Springel. Pedro Ibrahim amongst the others watching on, ready to get on board a BMW. The Supra certainly has enough damage to mean that it can't be driven back, and maybe this is another reason why we need the safety car, because the flatbed has had to be called. It actually looked as though, as it came out of the gravel, that the steering was locked on with the front right, either wasn't turning at all or was sort of buckled under the wheel arch. Now, whether it was a damaged suspension that put the car off, it's hard to gauge, because that's the better side of the car, isn't it? That's the undamaged side. Yeah, the track control arm maybe on that front right, no longer connected, so it's able just to go wherever it wants, and that stops the car from doing what the steering wheel is asking of it. You can see the lights starting to fade, the headlights looking brighter. And none of these cars running endurance lights, so as the light starts to fade, this will get a bit more asking of the drivers with 14 minutes remaining. We're not going to get to pitch black, but we're going to get darker here, and we saw that yesterday, didn't we? The light faded quickly. Yeah, the last night race as such that they had was in Jeddah under floodlights, so it was a very different sort of nighttime feel. The cars are coming down towards Pouhon. We're on lap number 6. The Toyota Supra being pulled out of the gravel. Adrien David is with the car. Co-driver Yann Durand then deprived a chance to drive it, but he is in conversation with Ganel Longe.
Yann, tough race for you today. You're P3 in the championship and losing a lot of points tonight.
No, it's an unfortunate event, but I mean, we have to stick to it and try to make the maximum points next race.
Thank you.
So, big frustration from Yann Durand, trying to be positive. There's another race to go tomorrow. The grid is already set. It's not based on the results of today, so that's some consolation, I guess.
Yeah, so we see the safety car Snake making its way through. Luckily, the marshal puts the arrow out, so no one's going to drive into the back of them. But that car probably can take an escape road somewhere on the exit of Stavilo 1. And yeah, 30 seconds earlier, they almost could have gone back to green. I think they're going to do one more safety car lap, aren't they? Is that going to delay the pit window potentially?
Might do. That next access point, I think I'm right in saying, is coming actually out of Pif-Paf. They're still putting the car properly on the back. You see how the platform slides up to finish the operation. Again, have a look in the background at the top of the screen. You're about to see the Toyota at pretty high speed go off the road. It didn't seem to want to turn, and it arrived quickly off the road. So it looked as though there might have been a breakage, and that is Adrien David off the road. So that front right corner damaged, as we said, and out of the race then is that Toyota. So the car is on the move, and not that far down this section of the race circuit from memory is the vehicle access point. That is the car that is leading in silver. That's Josh Ratticum. He will hand over to Mackenzie Cresswell in his first season of GT racing. Mackenzie doing a good enough job for pole position for tomorrow's race, meaning 4 poles on the bounce at Spa for Elite Motorsport in the GT4 European Series. So, another lap behind the safety car. The pit window may well be delayed. There's that broken front right corner. Look, you can see the wheel at a very jaunty angle. So, it has broken either through curb use or contact with another car, but that's why it couldn't turn and it went off. And the steam, I think, was coming after it had hit the tyre barrier at Pif-Paf. On top of the pit brasserie, fans watching the pictures, and they can look and see the cars coming underneath them. Great view looking down from the top of the pit building and coming out of the chicane over the timing line there, Sergiu Nicolai in the Villi Motorsport BMW. Right, one more lap, and by the end of it, the pit window in theory should be open, and I suspect we are going to find it's delayed for a couple of minutes or so.
Safety car in this lap.
Safety car in this time. We might find the window delayed just to give them a racing lap before the pit window.
And that's obviously to stop everyone pitting at the same time. Although Spa, because we're using both pit lanes for GT4 as well, there actually is more space afforded to us than usual tracks, but the regulation sticks there, so expect to see the pit window change by a few minutes.
So the safety car will be in this time, and then it's just been confirmed, pit window postponed by 2 minutes. So it gives them effectively one racing lap. Just opens up a few gaps as well, doesn't it? Because otherwise you'd have a constant stream of cars coming down the pit lane. At least this way there's a little bit more fresh air between them. So we've got 35 minutes and just over 40 seconds as the teams get ready for a pit stop and the second driver to get on board. Really frustrating for these drivers that have had precious little racing mileage.
Yeah, is it 2 flying laps potentially? Yeah. And that's been bitty to say the least. Just looking at the classes, obviously you've got the blue coloured on the timing bar on the right there, the silver cars are probably going to win overall in a safety car race like this. The green are the Pro-Am, and the red are the Am-Am. Just looking at the gap that Hendrik still has, he's leading overall, and his next Pro-Am contender is down in 8th position. So he's got a good gap over Buvik there, and then Matri Jucci there just behind. So yeah, it's not been the best stint for Still because of the safety car, but it could have been worse. He's still handing over a good gap to his teammate.
Daniel Blichler is in 32nd place as the leading Am. Christopher Brunhagen 33rd, and 35th is Igor Sorokin. From 44th on the grid up to 34th, Aston Miller in the replacement McLaren number 81. That's Cindy Goudet, who will take over from Gabriela Yelkova. So we're going to go back to racing. We're going to have a lap, and then the pit lane is going to get busy. There are the teams. Robert Consony ready to take over number 3 Audi. Robert Consony sharing with Benjamin Lariche Championship leaders and set to increase that lead, given the fact that their nearest opposition, second and third, both out of the race already.
Yeah, dream start for them really, and they haven't had to do anything for it apart from drive around and avoid a bit of trouble, but nothing's really been asked of them yet. I think they had the pace over the Mike Simpson Ginetta before we went to this full course yellow safety car period, but Hendrick still had a pretty good restart last time by. Yeah. It's actually quite a spaced out field. That's Ajith Kumar, isn't it, at the back of the field. He's a long way off this. If still goes early, they may not all catch up.
Yeah, Ajith Kumar 38th. 38 of them have survived so far, as the safety car then feeds through Blanchimont. It will go for the pit lane this time, and you can see how much further back Hendrick still has dropped, so that when he accelerates, he's got totally clear road ahead of him. What he wants to do is try and get away and build a little bit more of a gap, try and outfox Josh Rattigan, but also he wants to make sure he gets away from his class rivals. So we're almost ready to go racing once more. Safety car is in. This will be the end of lap number 7, and 33 minutes are still on the clock. We're back racing. Hendrick still, Josh Rattigan, Greg Gilbert, the 3 leaders. Porsche, McLaren, Audi. Down towards La Source they go. And Josh Rattigan heads to the middle of the road, more really to try to fend off the Audi. I think they'll have a go for the race lead. But we're back racing, and now as the light fades and the headlights take up more of an impact, side by side at La Source, Porsche versus BMW, contact avoided. So far so good. Coming out of La Source, plunge downhill. This is lap 8. Yeah,
you can see they've lost a position, haven't they, the Elite Motorsport car. That Audi has got the job done out of La Source, so it's had great drive there. You can see Charlie Hart flashing the headlights in the white McLaren behind the Elite car as they fire down the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, that wasn't really in the game plan, was it, for Josh Rattigan? And now he has got, as you say, Charlie Hart's white McLaren, the RAFA Racing Club entry there on the outside, breathing all over him. So Charlie Hart all fired up. Josh Rattigan just not getting a great restart. And to lose one place is bad enough, but to be on your toes now, having to defend from another, really bad news. Then Mike Simpson next up. So the Ginetta next in that queue as they come down towards Bruxelles. Next up, it's Lariche there in the Audi. Behind him in number 12 is Berke Bejler. They were battling earlier on. They're still squabbling. And behind the pair of them, you've got Victor Bouveng trying to get his BMW up the order as well. So there's a lot to shake out, really, before they dive for the pit lane.
Yeah, Charlie Hart's made a mistake. He's dropped off massively from the back of Rattigan. Look at the gap that's grown there. That's now put Mike Simpson on the front foot. He's all over the back of the McLaren. So interesting to see who will pit when. Obviously, the Pro-Am cars want to leave their pros in as late as possible. The silver cars that have got an even driver pairing but maybe stuck in traffic, potentially they will come in early to try and get some clear air. And it'll be interesting to see on this replay how the Audi gets past, because the exit looks fine at this point. Of course, we're picking up a slipstream now. The McLaren goes for the defence, and the Audi just simply powers past. That's the balance of performance. McLaren very quick in the corners, so it can't be quick in the straight as well, and the Audi just picks them off nice and easy.
And the McLaren trying to get a tow up the hill, but that didn't work, because look, Greg Gilbert has got away. Not only has he got away into the lead of the class, but he's going after the outright race leader and closing up as well. You see that the pit window is open. That's the race control message confirmation at the top of the screen, as Hendrick still Pro-Am leader, hence the green background to his number, ahead of Greg Gilbert, the silver leader. They come now into the chicane. Still, you can anticipate will stay out for as long as possible to give his co-driver a good chance. So far, very few bite for the pit lane, but Berke Bejler's blue BMW is the first one to bail.
Yeah, it's going to get some nice clear air. First one to pit. Pit lane will be quiet on entry, but could get boxed in by cars around them. So fans getting a good view there. Mike Simpson on the defence there from the Audi behind of Lariche. And Hendrick still looks like he's just been caught by Gilbert in the other speed car Audi as well. And it does look like Rattigan's coming back up to speed now and making it a 3-car battle for the lead.
Does indeed, then, with the margin at the start of the lap being 1.025 seconds covering the top 3. With the fastest lap of the race having been done by Hendrick still last time around, really the first proper racing lap. Now there, in the meantime, is the Berke Bejler BMW. Gabriele Piana will get in. He's one of 4 drivers in this entry doing double duties, in other words, GT4 and GT3. So Gabriele Piana, oh no, sorry, wrong car. Jagish Gaidik is out and Pedro Ebrahim is in, so they're both in the pit lane. That's the one that Gabriele Piana is in. You see Berke Bejler walking away. Right, here's another go at the sentence. One of 4 drivers doing double duties, Gabriele Piana. He's installed in the BMW. Of course, he disgraced himself yesterday when he crashed the Mercedes of Winwood Racing at Au Rouge, but in a GT4 car, always a man to watch. So that drops down the order for now. The sister car in as well. Also Roberto Faria in, and Baudouin Detou is in to give way to Clement Zeiler.
Although you were wrong, you were right, weren't you? Because Ibrahim is also one of the 4 drivers doing GT3. That's what you meant.
It's a save, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so that's one of them. And that's Piana on his way down the pit lane. So Gabriele Piana will race BMW GT4, Mercedes AMG GT3. Meanwhile, for the lead of the Silver Cup, it has started to get close again. Josh Rattigan right on the back of Greg Gilbert. Beke Bejla being congratulated by his team on a good first stint to keep the car in contention then. The Turkish Borusan Automotive squad. Charlie Hart's dropped back again, look, from Josh Rattigan. So look at that gap that's opened up 3rd to 4th. But then in turn, Hart's got a big gap over Lariche. So Benjamin Lariche is 5th, and that means that he's got himself ahead of Mike Simpson. So the Audi is now nipped ahead of the Ginetta. Here's the silver lead battle. Josh Rattigan all over the back of Greg Gilbert, and he has a look to the inside line into the bus stop. No, you don't, says Gilbert, but Rattigan keeps on coming, trying to force a mistake out of Gilbert, who for so many seasons has been a Pro-Am runner. Now he's back with a quick co-driver in silver and hunting for outright wins. Hendrik Still from Pro-Am leads the way. More go for the pit lane. The next one in, as Hendrik Still does another best lap of the race, is Charlie Hart, who will give way in that white McLaren to Callum Davis.
Yeah, the car's really transformed over these laps under green. Tyre pressure's coming up, so we're seeing differences. A lot of cars come into pit lane now. There is a minimum pit stop time, so from pit in to pit out, the cars have to be there for 122 seconds. There is a tolerance of a second, and that joker can be used once per weekend, so either in this race or tomorrow's.
Hendrik Still accelerates then up towards Les Cons. There into the pit lane has come number 16. That's the Matt Higgins, now Pierre Livingstone Mercedes. So Matt, who is the son of David Higgins, British rally driver, but very successful with many American titles to his name. Pierre Livingstone, historic Formula Ford champion, gets on board the car. First time they've raced together in GT4 European Series, so a real step into the unknown for both. New track, new car, new team, new sharing the car, so an awful lot going on. Meanwhile, more limbering up goes on, ready to jump on board with 27 minutes on the clock. Number 17 BMW there is the car that Ricardo van der Ende shares with Benjamin Lessen. And at the start of the lap, that car was in 8th place.
Yeah, we've got the Porsche 259 pit speed under investigation as well, so we'll keep an eye on that. At the moment, everyone's pit stop time that has boxes being okay, roughly half of them using their joker, so they're going under that 122.
That just shaved a little bit off it, but you're right, they've still got that 1 second tolerance, but you can only use that in one of the 2 races, can't you?
Yes, so you kind of use it as an undercut. If you're close with a car, that's when you use it. You don't just use it for the sake of it. You're going to save it to try and gain position.
Right, so at the moment it is Hendrik Still clear outright and in Pro-Am, with Victor Bouveng's BMW the next one to watch. Gabriele Piana, having taken over number 12, is back on track. We'll get a better idea of the race position in due course. As you see there, the BMW that has been dragged out of the way sitting at the bottom of the pit lane, and the field now coming down from the hairpin. You can see the BMW there on the back of the Aston. So the 2 Borusan cars, Pedro Ibrahim in 11, Piana in 12, busy squabbling. And here is an absolutely charging Gabriele Piana, and he's worked his way there past the Ginetta. So a good, useful place gain. We know that Gabriele Piana specialises in BMWs, and look at him absolutely carving his way through traffic. And that look puts him ahead of Callum Davis. So look how many places he's gained since he's jumped on board the car.
Yeah, massive undercut there. He's really got it up to speed. That shows the speed difference. Cars leaving pit lane versus already on track. But Piana has pumped some laps in there and has taken 2 places. I think we're going to see that car potentially 3rd place, maybe even higher, after everyone has completed their pit stops. And all cars but Gilbert and Bouveng pitting. It's tight if they're going to get towards the end of this. Of course, the window was delayed by 2 minutes, so it's made the pit window smaller. It didn't extend it all the way through, so they're going to have to really push to get in at the end of this lap.
So more driver changes go on, and virtually now the rest of the field are in the pit lane, either coming in or going out. So our timing screen is lit up in red. That signifies the car is in the pit lane. So there, this is the top pits linking to the endurance pits at NM Racing. Another stop, the 88 Mercedes this time. Number 1 will now have Michael Haverantz at the wheel of it. The Mustang good to go back out. Joker pit stop has been taken by number 16 from NM Racing Team. That's the Higgins-Livingston car. And the mechanics working under the lights. Elite at pit exit have got a bit more space around them, which is always handy.
Yeah, it's nice it can service your car, not getting boxed in, don't have to worry about pushing on. Piana's pulled away from this two-car, British car battle, McLaren versus Ginetta. Ginetta shooting out flames as it lifted off there for Blanchimont. And I love it when drivers flash their headlights for no reason whatsoever. It's a good motivation if you're Piana in front. Thanks for flashing. You're only 20 lengths behind. I think I'm safe under braking.
Ethan Gialdini then, having taken over from Mike Simpson, comes over the line. So Greg Gilbert, yet to stop, still leads the way. Hendrik Still, as you can see, is in the pit lane to give way to Joachim Bolting. And look at this stream of cars, the queue getting longer and longer as others jump out of their pit boxes back into the queue. And so there is Bolting up the hill, staying ahead of Mackenzie Cresswell. Then you've got Robert Consonny in the queue. So have a look not only at what's coming out of the pit lane, but what's on the track, because I think you're about to find a rather rapid Gabriele Piana heading up the hill. And let's see where that puts him in the queue. This is the back marking element of the train. So here it is now Joachim Bolting in the lead, but Mackenzie Cresswell is about to make his move, is he, for leadership on the inside. In third place now is Consonny, and I'm trying to work out where Piana is. I think he's in 4th or 5th place.
Yeah, I think he might have been 4th. Cresswell struggling here. He had the run on Bolting out of pit lane, but because it was single file, couldn't get anything done. Bolting isn't going to fight this battle. We spoke to him on the grid.
12-second time penalty for car 74 for pit stop too short.
That was the voice of the race director you heard as you look at the race lead battle, and 74 is the Will Orton David Kuhlman Aston Martin. 5-second penalty then for being too short on the pit stop. Right, new race leader Mackenzie Cresswell down to 2nd, but still leading his class. Joachim Bolting 3rd, Robert Consonny small gap back 4th, Gabriele Piana, and he is absolutely flying.
Yeah, he's the man at the moment, isn't he? Got in earlier than all the other drivers, so he's kind of 2 laps ahead of the game in that regard. You can see Bolting here struggling to hold off the faster silver drivers, and he's trying to let them go without losing too much time. But at some point you've got to stop the rock, because you're moving offline, you're going to get dirty tyres and compromise your pace. But it's difficult, and Piana's going to want to strike while the iron's hot to try and get 3rd overall.
So here they come, Audi now clear of Porsche, going after McLaren. Won't be long before Piana gets through. And in fairness, Joachim Bolting does not need to be defending from these cars. This is not his battle. Victor Bouveng, who had briefly taken over the lead of the class, now gives over the BMW in the pit stop and therefore drops back in the order. So as Joachim Balder will take the car into the 2nd stint, it'll be quite a gap between the Porsche and the class opposition. So Piana comes up to have a go at Bolting. He's going to try to go around the outside into the chicane. And Gabriele Piana, installed early into the car, goes through. Nice move up into 3rd place, and the way that he's going suggests that he is not done yet. That is the other Pro-Am car of significance. Well, that's in the pit lane, ready to go. He's in the bottom pits. The class leader is the 4th in this queue, the Porsche, in the hands of Joachim Bolting, but that's at proper pace, while the car of Joachim Walder's got to crawl to the pit exit and then increase the speed up the hill.
Yeah, Piana's asking a lot of that car. As you can see it under braking, the brake dust coming out as we saw it head on, and then the brake disc glowing. Rovig has just left pit lane and he's handed over to Vold there. So that's going to be a close battle coming up Eau Rouge. You can see that BMW left of shot. Bolting's going to get the overrun on him, but there's probably only going to be 6 or 7
5-second
seconds.
time penalty for car 60 speeding in the pit lane.
And that was our Pro-Am lead changing on track there. So closer than I thought. So Buvig had done a good job on his in-lap. That was essentially one more lap of Buvig versus Still, as we see a battle going on here, and the Audi has to cut across.
Off the road goes Robert Consonny, gets back on. Mackenzie Cresswell stayed ahead of him. Number 60 is the Honda Erdem Gustavio Xavier BMW that you heard being given a penalty. Right, so now in the lead, it is the very rapid Audi. There's the McLaren coming downhill, and you've got in 3rd place Robert Consonny hustling on in pursuit. So Paul Petit, having relayed Greg Gilbert, he is in the lead of the race now. In 2nd spot Cresswell, in 3rd place Consonny, in 4th place Gabriele Piana. They come out of Pouhon in 5th place now. Dropping back a little bit is the Porsche in the hands of Joachim Bolting, but Paul Petit is absolutely flying at the moment. He's getting away, so Gabriele Piana might be okay for the podium, but Paul Petit out on his own. We've seen he's quick this year. He's been unlucky in as much as at Zandvoort. He won on the road but got a penalty for the way that the car behaved under the safety car. Right now, though, Paul Petit comes through the Cours Paul Frère, and what have we got left? Just under 20 minutes. All the cars have got to have their lights on because it's now been declared a night session. That's Cresswell second, and actually Piana, after all the zealotry when he joined the race, he's now got a bit stuck, hasn't he? He can't find a way past the third-place Audi. Meanwhile, you've got here Joachim Bolting just ahead of Michael Haverantz, but then right up behind him is Joachim Walder. So Porsche, Mustang, BMW, and it's the Porsche and the BMW that are the ones to watch because they're fighting for the honours in Pro-Am.
Yeah, the position indicators, those green lights in the windscreen showing there, the Pro-Am's easy to spot. Bolting losing another position just to a silver, but now neck and neck as the BMW on BMW fights there, trying to get the cut back, easy for me to say, and that's going to leave this Pro-Am battle first and second in class to fight. Just spotting the Audis and this dark light, you can see the blue flames coming out of the exhaust. Don't know how you balance the performance, the extra power they're getting from that forward propulsion, but really nice to see these cars in the daylight going in tonight.
So the Mustang in question, number 1, Michael Haverantz, the BMW, number 17, Benjamin Lessen. Now that he's got himself ahead there of Joachim Walder, that takes a little bit of the pressure off Joachim Bolting for the moment. There's another great big battle pack here. Look, diving down towards La Source. There's a round on the outside line there. Goes 81, Zach Meekin up from the back of the grid. So he's now on the fringes of the top 20. Downhill he drops, so there, look, Zach Meekin onto the tail now of number 16 of Pierre Livingstone. 25th place they're arguing over as they drop down towards Eau Rouge. Livingstone doing a good job here, upholding Mercedes AMG Honor. 259 Porsche, a little bit further back in the queue. That's the car of Bas Visser, as here they come nose to tail up towards Les Combes.
Huge slide at the top of the Eau Rouge there for the Porsche. I think he might have got a bit of help from behind. I think it might have been a BMW. Did well to hold it, but that was a scary snap of oversteer right at the top of Eau Rouge.
Race leaders are down at Pouen though, and it's still Paul Petit. He was 2.6 seconds clear when they came across the line. 17.5 minutes are still on the clock, and another big effort is made there, but around the outside to gain the place this time. Zach Meekin does it, gets away with it as well as the cars came out of Les Combes. So Meekin really is charging. The elite McLarens have struggled this year, and they're almost being crowded. Look towards the grass. Number 11 BMW fighting through the traffic here. This is Pedro Ibrahim being totally uncompromising, and one of the cars in strife was the Mercedes of Papadopoulos. The other, I think, was David Kuhlmann's Aston Martin. Somehow major drama averted, but Pedro Ibrahim leaving nothing on the table.
Yeah, he knows he's got to get on the move because Piana's done such a good job in the sister car to haul the car up there. So the pace is in that BMW. You've just got to have the track to be able to do it. As you now see that elite McLaren still neck and neck with the Audi. We saw them side by side into Le Combes a few laps back. The Audi deciding to give the position back, runs wide out of Blanchemont. That will be a track limit warning.
It's like a repeat of last year, isn't it, when the championship was elite versus speed car. Into the chicane they come. So this is for second in the race. It's for second in silver. And Mackenzie Cresswell versus Robert Consigny now as the cars come over the line. Remember, Mackenzie Cresswell is in his first year of GT4 racing, moving from GB3 single-seaters. And there, on the lights, in fourth place, Gabriele Piana trying to distract Robert Consigny as they come up towards La Source, but Consigny doesn't fall for it.
The McLaren has no straight line performance. When we saw the Audi just out-drag it in the first part of this race, so that could be an option if the Audi can stay close enough through La Source and then into Eau Rouge. You can see him having to brake. He's got that much extra straight line speed, and the blue flame still flicking out of that Audi every time he lifts off the throttle. Some of the unburnt fuel just going through the exhaust system. That hasn't stuck close enough through Eau Rouge, interestingly. Maybe the Audi just doesn't have the high downforce grip of the McLaren.
Here they come up towards Les Combes. The lead gap, 2.1 seconds. Last time around, Cresswell about half a second quicker than Paul Petit. So is this because he's being spurred on by the speed car Audi behind? It wasn't a personal best lap for Cresswell, nor was it for Petit. But the gap, as I say, is down by half a second. And now this race has a totally different feel, doesn't it? There is something magical. We'll say it no doubt during the 24 hours. But there is something magical about racing at night.
Yeah, it just closes everything up, and everything feels louder as well. It's just the air getting denser as it cools off. But yeah, a real spectacle. We get to see so much more of these brake discs glowing. Don't see that in the daylight. Don't see the exhaust popping flames out of the back. Suddenly the headlights seem to pick up different parts of the tracks and different contours that you don't see. Here's the Pro-Am battle for first place. There is the Porsche now in the hands of Joachim Bolting. Got the BMW behind. It was 8 tenths behind last time by, but the gap has definitely grown now. That's more like 2.5 seconds, because that car of Ibrahim has overtaken and has cost him time to the BMW in second in Pro Am.
Yeah, still a BMW behind Bolting, but not the one he's fearful of. So Joachim Walder has lost a place on the road, doesn't lose a position in class, but he is further back and therefore less able to strike for the class lead. There going through is the Max Kronberg Daniel Blickler Porsche that is leading in AM. It is currently in 31st place. It is Max Kronberg up at the minute. So Daniel Blickler started, Max Kronberg has taken it over. There is the Porsche going through some of the rubber that's being junked and spat into his face. Big slide from that BMW behind. Just about hanging on to the moment. I think that was the Mats Olsen car, but he managed to hang on to the moment.
Yeah, these brake discs, when they're going, that's at over 600 degrees centigrade, so shows the energy involved, and the McLaren still holding off the Audi there. Cresswell versus Cassani. Piano just edging closer, isn't he? So that's going to be a concern for Cassani. If he doesn't get the move done on the McLaren, he's got to do two jobs, attack and defend, and that will happen in the next lap or so.
So downhill they drop, heading towards Eau Rouge. We've got 13.5 minutes of the race to go. So it's an hour-long race, and the clock ticks on down. Once the race has kind of been allowed to breathe, if you like, it's been a good race with lots going on, and we're not done yet. The lead gap still comes down. It's down to 1.8. So last time, the leader, Paul Petit, did a 2 minutes 30.9, a 2 minutes 30.7 for Mackenzie Cresswell. But look, second, third and fourth absolutely as one as they hit Les Combes.
Yeah, Piana looking strong again pace-wise. Had the strong start of the stint, then faded for a few laps, and it feels like he's come back again. I just feel like Cassani gets too close to the back of the McLaren intro Rouge, loses any momentum, and then it doubles down the effect of not being able to carry the speed through. It'd always be better to roll out the throttle earlier and drive it up Eau Rouge rather than jump on the brakes, potentially take a track limit at the top to get a bit of momentum to help stay closer to that McLaren for longer.
Right, so here comes Piana then now. He's again on the lights, tries to get up the inside at Pouin. Constantly defends. Now into that long left-hander. You can see that Piana has had 2 out of the last 3 laps being better than those of Constantly, and right now the Audi hangs on to the place, but because he's having to defend, he's dropping off the back of Mackenzie Cresswell, who therefore is released to see what he can do about the race leader Paul Petit. So 2 significant talking points right now, the fight for third, but also whether or not the lead gap's going to come down sufficiently. There's a lot for Cresswell to do, but he is going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's for sure. What I worry now is, have the teams optimised these cars for nighttime driving for the drivers? Have they put some tinted windows on the side to stop these lights from Piana and that BMW into Cassani's eyes? His pupils will be the size of pinpricks. They will be absolutely dilated. Those lights so bright, reflecting off your mirrors. And if they're not used to racing at night, it might be a slight oversight, sorry, of the teams there. And I think that's why Cassani has lost so much time, so distracted by Piana, who's trying to go round the outside into this final chicane.
Beautifully done, round the outside, understeers a little, but manages to hang on to it, but he's going to be wide at the second part of the chicane. Constantly fights back, here they come, side by side up to the line. Robert Constantine goes back through then as they come across the line, and Piana, having briefly taken the place, has to be on the lights again to distract Constantine and think about another lunge up the inside, but it ain't going to happen into La Source. It might come out of the corner where the BMW has got good drive off the tight right. So down the hill they go. All of this has enabled Cresswell to pull away and now to get within 1.5 seconds of the race leader. That lead gap continues to come down. And look, in a straight line down the hill, the Audi gets away. Constantly has a confidence break at the bottom of the hill, sets the car up, and Gabriele Piana is braver through Eau Rouge. That means, look, he's much nearer now, possibly getting a slipstream as they head up towards Les Combes. Constantly covers off the inside line. Gabriele Piana towering over the top, suddenly dives to the outside line. He needs to be late on the brakes, but he can't make the move stick going into Les Combes, but not for the want of trying. He's quick all the way through that sequence. He's got the inside line for the final element, and finally he's done it. Piana goes through. Really good driving that, and Gabriele Piana is up into 3rd place.
Yeah, great driving by both. You don't see an overtake happen there on the exit of Les Combes. Often he had so much speed through the mid-part. He was able to get the overlap, and Cassani had the peace of mind to check his mirror before turning in there. Great driving by both. Can Piana do anything? Cresswell would have been relatively happy with the gap he's built, but Piana's pace is very strong, and so is the strong pace of Cresswell over Paul Petit. Look at the time gained on the last 3 laps there. It was 0.5 seconds 3 laps ago, then 0.2, 0.3 on the last lap. This gap is getting spicy with less than 10 minutes remaining.
Absolutely right. So, in the last 3 laps, each lap of Mackenzie Cresswell quicker than the corresponding lap of Paul Petit. The gap has been over 2 seconds. It's been down to 1.8. It's now 1.5. So Mackenzie Cresswell is still pressing on in the first sector of this lap, though he was slightly slower. He's coming up to the end of the second sector. The live gap 1.7. So actually it's crept up a little bit, as that suggests that Paul Petit is responding now. But Mackenzie Cresswell, to the eye, does look nearer. We've got 9 minutes of the race to go, so he's not done yet, and so much of this is down to the fact that he's not having to defend anymore. He can drive his own race, drive his own lines, and concentrate on that car ahead.
Yeah, well, that stayed true, though, as Piana going to be able to reel him in and make him have to look back in his mirrors as Cresswell gets all over the apex curb nicely through the last right of the lap, unwinds the lock, and again flames out the back of the Artura as well now of its dual exhaust twin turbo V6, and yeah, you can hear a Mustang growl as well out there, and this battle rages on. The BMW now getting closer again to the Porsche.
With 8 3/4 minutes and counting still to go. Round the outside there, look, goes 74 deep into the chicane, and instead of gaining a place, in danger of losing another one, but he just gets the drag coming out the other side. So David Kuhlmann hanging on to the place then as they come across the line. Paul Petit is your leader outright and in silver. There is the leader of Pro-Am. Joachim Bolting now has dropped back into 10th place, but still crucially ahead of Joachim Walder, who is not really being able to bring down that gap enough. And then you've got Max Kronberg in number 30 Porsche, who is the leader of the AM element of the race, in 29th place. Down past the endurance pits they go, flick through Eau Rouge, climb the other side of the hill, past the big grandstand that towers over the racetrack, and then you keep on climbing all the way the other side of Les Combes. We've now got just under 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, how quickly has the light gone? It feels like it's halved in the last few laps, and it's going to keep getting darker there. Our AM class leaders well clear of second place in class as well, as we see a car running off wide there all over the dirt. So going to be able to rejoin safely. The 74 Aston Martin has lost a couple of places there, I fear.
David Kuhlmann at the wheel of it. So we saw him battling at the chicane on the previous lap, and he's lost the battle at Les Combes this time around. Regroups, tries to contact there, gets lent on by, I think that was the Clement Zeiler Aston behind him. So they had to wriggle their way around Les Combes, and it all got a little bit leery. So David Kuhlmann tries to fight back as the race has 7 minutes and change on the clock, and the lead gap 1.6 seconds. Paul Petit seems to have stemmed the tide a little bit now, doesn't he, against Mackenzie Cresswell. But Gabriele Piana, who is in 3rd place, lapping fractionally quicker than the 2 ahead of him. So it's still a busy racetrack. Most people have got somebody to battle against. Here's another example of it. Look, it's coming up towards Piff Paff there on the inside line, the racing spirit of Le Mans Aston, number 39. That is the car that is Clement Zeiler at the wheel, and he's trying to squabble to gain a place. He hasn't done it yet, though, because number 9, which is the car of Ruben Delsart, just being able to keep him at bay. Nose to tail they turn. They're now up through the course. Paul Frere. Paul Petit, in the meantime, is extending the lead again.
Yeah, I do think Piana has taken a lot out on this lap. I think 6/10 in the first 2 sectors, so that gap could be sub a second, which it is now. The timing screen just updating there as they fly through Blanchimont Supra with its rain light on. That'd be a good motivation to overtake that car. That would be very annoying to sit behind that for what's going to be another 3 laps potentially around here, and goes in deep there. Tried to get the move done on Ruben Delsart, didn't work. Going to take the shortcut there. I think we'll lose at least 1, possibly 2 places to the rain light shod Supra.
All the momentum gone, so Clement Zeiler makes a rare error. Very quick young driver is Clement Zeiler, and when he's not racing cars, he hadn't raced for 3 years up until the start of the GT4 season, but he deals in real estate, he deals in performance cars, and then goes racing when he has the time and the opportunity. But he's not somebody that's driving a car every day for competition purposes or spending loads of time on the sim. Anyway, it's good to have him in the championship because he always goes well, as now with 5.5 minutes there or thereabouts to go. Paul Petit is leading by 1.5 seconds. It's a bit elasticated, this lead gap.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? And maybe the team's just trying to to work out where the tyre pressures have been, because the track temp has dropped away quite a lot since the start of the race. Just looking down the order, 20th place, Zach Meakin. Remember, they started 44th with Aston Miller starting that car, so 24 places gain. I think that's worth a shout out.
Yeah.
And the car looks clean as well, and there's the gap visually and on screen between first and second. Bolting in that Porsche doing a mega job, seems to now have the pace over the 98 BMW.
Yeah, I'm not sure how big a battle that is in real terms, because Joachim Walder just can't really get himself as close as he needs to be. It's about 2 seconds, that margin, and it's been about that really for the bulk of this stint, and the stint has 4.5 minutes still to run. Down through Pont then turns Joachim Walder, number 98 BMW. He's been a regular within this championship over the last few seasons, and somebody goes very, very wide there, and that's the leader. So way off the racetrack, Paul Petit now. Discuss. It's definitely a track limit offence, and he didn't seem to lift.
Yeah, I think he obviously wanted to keep momentum as he got past Kumar there. It's going to hurt Cresswell. This is going to give Piana a really good chance, I think, to get some momentum. Can he swing back to the inside and get the move done? They are nose to tail, that yellow Elite McLaren and the blue BMW as they break for the last corner.
And look, round the outside goes the BMW, but it doesn't work. He tries to get up the inside, and there's a little touch, and that spins the McLaren. After all Cresswell's hard work, it was the lightest of touches, but it's got serious consequences as now he tries to spin the car back, looks for a gap, has to brake, because look at the wave of cars that he has to wait for. And Gabriele Piana, he's going to get looked at for that, because even though it was a tiny, tiny touch, it had big, big consequences.
Yeah, where does Cresswell want Piana to go? He's gone round the outside of the first part of the right. He's on the inside. He can't disappear. Cresswell, sorry, the McLaren, is it Cresswell? Sorry, yes. Yeah. It has to leave him a space to exist. I think Piana's got every right to be there, personally. That's my hot take on it as I saw it live. I'm sure we'll get a good replay, and maybe you'll make me change my mind. But at the moment, I think that was a racing incident.
Right, here we go.
That angle makes the BMW look guilty, but the other angle that we watched live, the BMW was already there. He'd made a fair move. This is the one I hope will jump at my defence of my words. He's there. He's not looking to make a move. I just don't see where Cresswell expects him to go. He can either hop over the curb or slam the anchors on, but I don't think Piana has to do that personally. Let's see what race control say.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the fact that he was on the inside and there was contact is inevitably going to be forcing a
10-second time penalty for car 12, causing a collision.
Oh, there you go.
Different view to mine then.
Totally. So a 10-second time penalty straight away. I mean, there was no messing there, was it? Within about a minute, instant justice is done for Gabriele Piana. And yeah, it's a time penalty at the end of the race. They might be able to argue it, but I think that's a slam dunk if it's given so quickly.
I don't think I've ever seen a penalty given so quickly. No. In less than a lap. We're not even back at the scene of the crime.
Exactly
yet.
Right.
And yes, race control have some more angles than us, and yes, they'll use our TV pictures, but if you want hard and fast action, then race control have done a good job.
So the stewards not hanging about, apply the penalty straight away. At least you know where you stand, I suppose, although I wouldn't be surprised if Borisan tried to argue that. But Gabriele Piana has had enough races in his career to be frustrated, but he'll just have to shrug his shoulders and try to get on with it, and we'll see how far down the order those 10 seconds are going to drop him. Right now, it's down to 7th place. This is Robert Constantini then coming into the chicane. He'll be promoted to 2nd. Here he comes up towards the line. So, race order is Paul Petit, coming over the line in the lead on the road. The frustration for Gabriele Piana is that he is very, very close indeed, like 1.3 seconds back on the racetrack. In 3rd place then on corrected time is going to be the Ginetta of Ethan Gialdini. In 4th place is Gabriele Piana now. So you apply the 10 seconds and he drops to 4th. So it could be a whole lot worse. And we're on the last lap of the race now.
Yeah, it's evaporated, hasn't it? The last 10 minutes have gone. And yeah, full darkness is upon these cars, and yeah, feel sorry for Cresswell. The penalties there. We've got a race control sector 2 yellow flag. Got a car off at T13. It looks like that's where David was off in his Supra, so we might get under a local yellow to get to the end of the race there. But at the moment, all looking good for Paul Petit, and that car has actually got going. That's the 60 BMW.
It is indeed, which I think had already got a penalty, hadn't it, earlier on in the race. So number 60 limps on with Onda Erdem at the wheel of it. So the yellows are withdrawn, so it's a clear last lap. As here is number 1 of Michiel Haverens. Now the number 1 Ford Mustang growling its way out of Lecombe. Just ahead of the Mustang is Benjamin Lessen's BMW with that very, very bright light on the back of it, which just completely takes all your attention through Bruxelles. Bit of respite there as the car turns out of your eye line for a moment, then back down towards the so-called Speaker's Corner, or the Jackie Eakes Corner, as it's recently been renamed, down the hill. You're heading all the while towards the lights of the pit buildings, but before you get there, you've got to go sharp-ish left and loop your way round at Pouan, and then accelerate on down towards the Piff Path and towards the direction of Stair, towards the Stavelot corners. But it's been a really impressive drive, this, by Paul Petit and Greg Gilbert. But look, Piana is almost with them. I don't think the team have told him about the penalty, but Piana is having a red-hot go on this last lap. It was a mighty pit stop by them. It's been a great stint by Piana, and it's such a shame that he's picked up that penalty. I'm sure the team will try to argue it away if it can. But right now, with Blanchimont and the chicane to go, Paul Petit looks as though a maiden win is going to come in GT4 European Series. Gabriele Piana slaloming his way through the traffic. Wide goes the leading Audi. Piana closing into the chicane. He's going to have a go to see if he can win on the road. Round the outside he comes. He does it again. This time he's given racing room. He's gone through into the lead of the race. It might all be for naught, though, with a penalty to be applied. Gabriele Piana is going to win a lively GT4 European Series race on the road, and he's delighted. And now somebody's got to say, but you didn't do it. Paul Petit wins, and it's a team speed car 1-2. Robert Constany second, and Gabriele Piana is fourth.
I think he might continue to fall as cars cross the line with that. There's a 12-second penalty, wasn't it? So I think
10. So fourth is it.
Okay.
He stays fourth.
Okay, nice. That's just off the podium. They will definitely go and argue that if the YouTube live comments are to anything to go on it is a split decision, who was at fault there between the BMW and the McLaren.
I'll take your point about the fact that the BMW couldn't just disappear, but Piana knew it was going to be a slightly risky move, and he was never fully alongside, was he? He was only just about at the rear corner of the McLaren when Mackenzie Cresswell turned in, and I suppose the same argument is that Piana can't expect the McLaren to disappear. However, we can argue about this over a beer. We've had a class win in Pro-Am for Joachim Bolting and Henrik Still, having dominated the class, and here Max Kronberg and Daniel Blickler are going to come through and take AM honours in another of those very pretty bullet-shaped Cayman 718s. Bravo to the WNS team, Max Kronberg and Daniel Blickler then winning the class. So the field coming out of La Source. They'll make that run round to the podium in the Grand Prix pits. But a really good effort by Paul Petit. That's been a long time coming, that win. The frustration being, in a sense, that they were only second over the line. But poor old Gabriele Piana, I don't think has been given the message yet. He still seems to be celebrating. Of course, he's got the number 1 on the car from the Lumi rank, because that's where he was when he crossed the line. But then the penalty subsequent, putting him in 4th place.
Yeah, he's getting all the pickup on the tyres to make sure the car adheres to minimum ride height and weight. But I totally agree with you. He doesn't look like a driver who's lost a win and ended up in 4th place. So that could be an awkward TV shot if we get the angle of him jumping out the car in pit lane. He may even think he should be parking underneath the podium, of course.
Yes, well, I wish Ganelle bon courage when she has to go and talk to a grumpy BMW driver. So inheriting the win, Paul Petit and Greg Gilbert. And as the Audi makes its way around the Cours Paul Frère. So this is how, on the track at least, the lead changed. Round the outside came the BMW. In fairness to Petit, he gave Piana just enough room and actually kept giving him enough room all the way through the chicane.
Yeah, that was a much more simple move for Piana than what he tried on Cresswell, which resulted in the contact, which ultimately gave him the 10-second penalty. And I wonder if the Audi actually knew of that penalty. The team had already told him, this isn't for position, let him go, it's okay.
Yeah, certainly it would make sense, wouldn't it, for Team Speed Car to say that car has a penalty. It's been on the timing screen, so they would have known about it and give that information to Paul Petit. So the result might still be provisional, but for the moment at least, we can talk about honours for an Audi as the fan zone. The funfair is all illuminated, and that's going to be oh so busy during the 24 hours, which will be in full swing this time tomorrow. So the provisional results offer a win for Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit from Benjamin Lariche and Robert Constany. Mike Simpson and Ethan Gialdini coming home third, with penalised Gabriele Piana and Becky Besler fourth. Charlie Hart, Callum Davis fifth, ahead of Ricardo van der Ende and Benjamin Lessen. 10th, the Pro-Am winning Henrik Still and Joachim Bolting. Second in class, Victor Bouveng and Joachim Walder, with Emil Schwarasch and Hans Homlund in third. And then in the AM category, a win for Daniel Blickler and Max Kronberg from Bert Heibler and Tom Erdemann. And then it is Stefan Nilsson and Mats Olsen third in the AM class after another very lively race. So the celebrations are underway, and a BMW being waved away there. So Gabriele Piana has now got the message. He doesn't like the message, but he's got the message. And Paul Petit, there in the background, is Greg Gilbert, ready to celebrate the win. Good to have them together in the championship. It's another competitive Audi. I think last year it was just one that we had for the bulk of the season, which was the Constany and Lariche example, but popularity has increased again now. And to celebrate the Speed Car 1-2, there's Robert Constany in the background. Oh no, sorry, it's Ethan Gialdini in the background. I was waiting for Robert Constany to arrive. They're on the other side, aren't they? I can see the mechanics having moved. So Constany and Lariche taking second. And two very, very happy race winners. Paul Petit without the hat, and Greg Gilbert stands alongside him. Alex is going to talk to our race winners, and she's all smiles as well as she tries to scoop them all up.
Yes, boys, brilliantly done. What a start, Greg. Talk us through it. And also, how late was that pit stop? Is that where you won it?
Yeah, we missed the podium and the win in Zandvoort. It was really shame with this penalty. So it's it's really, we are really happy to win today.
Amazing work. And Paul, talk us through that last stint.
Yeah, no, so easy because Greg did a great start, and at the end I know about the BMW. He had the penalty, so just back the car home, and so it's very, very cool to be back at the top of the box.
Boys.
Yeah. Also, I'm agree. In Zandvoort, it was really hard to swallow, but now, yeah, we are back, and let's see for tomorrow.
Fair enough. You boys, I mean, you win here at Spa, one of the trickiest circuits in the world. To what extent do you feel like this is, you know, a big statement in terms of your title fight?
Yeah, it's an amazing track. You know, it's when you won in Spa, it's something special. So yeah, it's not my first win today, but yeah, I'm really happy to win with Paul Petit. It's our first win today.
Well done, boys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Enjoy your podium.
Thanks.
See how much it means to them, can't you? The Pirelli hat's being given to the winners in the background, and Paul Petit bringing that car home. Okay, he lost the lead at the end, but it was sensibly done, giving that penalised car enough space. It was never really a threat, and well done to the team for making sure that the drivers were fully appraised, if you like, of that situation, and knowing which was a genuine fight and which was a battle worth passing up on. It's a win in Pro-Am for Henrik Still and Joachim Bolting. They were on the class pole position, and victory for the fourth time this year goes to them.
Boys, this is becoming a bit of a habit. It's exactly what you said that you guys needed. This was the fight, wasn't it? Talk me through it.
I mean, it was amazing. We started from P3. Josh made a little mistake while defending in turn 1, so I was direct going to P1 and calculating all the race, so it was quite good to handle. The car was absolute in balance, and we had the pace which we expected already also in qualifying. So I'm very happy. Joe managed it very well, just two track limits in the end, so everything was clean, and it's another victory. So it's 4 of 5 right now.
Right. That was a tricky stint for you as well, wasn't it, with all those yellow flags? How tricky was it for you as well, as the light fades, you come into darkness here at Spa?
I don't know if you knew, but I have a transplantation on my right eye, so it's double tricky for me. But I had also 3 years only living with one eye, so I can do it with one easier maybe than the others. But it was a hard job, but he did it well, so I can put the car to the podium again. And so if you report us every race, I will be easier to communicate with you.
Well done, boys.
Every time we hear from Joachim Bolting, you learn a bit more about him. That's Greg Gilvert's first outright GT4 Europe win since 2021. He was in Pro-Am that year with Fabian Michel, but still won in the Barcelona race, if memory serves. So a good job done by Greg Gilvert and Paul Petit. And we ought to hear from our AM winners as well, shouldn't we? Max Kronberg and Daniel Blickler are the drivers. It's a second-class win for WNS and the Porsche Cayman. Let's get back down to Alex.
Max, Daniel, what a win and what a place to do it.
Yeah, it was definitely a great race. I mean, I love Spa. It's a great racetrack and even more spectacular going into the night. So I had really fun out there, like once the sun was coming down and I had clear track in front and behind me, and then just like basically brought back P1. And Daniel gave me the car on P1 and then just brought it home. Yeah.
You look very happy. That was a tricky stint, wasn't it, though?
Yeah, definitely. I was really lucky to, in the beginning at the start, to go around all that mess. Yeah. So, and after that, I mean, we didn't really have the flow with all these safety cars and everything. But in the end, I could manage to keep P1 and to give it to Max. And yeah, we're super happy to win today. It's great.
Kept out of damage. Well done, boys. Congratulations.
So the very happy drivers will make their way to the podium at the end of a very dramatic race here at Spa-Francorchamps. So let's have a look at the highlights of a typically lively GT4 European Series opening race. It started just about in daylight, heading into the evening, and a good start by Josh Rattigan put his McLaren into the lead, but it wasn't long before it all kicked off with Eric Evans' Mustang being turned around, hit by Hugo Mojica's Ginetta, and then others went piling in. Suddenly an Audi arrived in the door, and that was hit in turn by the BMW of Anthony Debar, Julien Ripes, Audi limping into the gravel and retirement, and that triggered a very early safety car. When we went back up and running, the battles carried on, but this is how the opening lap looked for Ajith Kumar as he tried to turn his way around La Source, dodging debris and dodging battered cars as he turned through the corner. The external view looked like that as everybody had to scatter in avoidance, and with cars with debris to be retrieved as well, and also liquid on the ground. No surprise that the safety car was deployed. And then we lost Hadrian David as well into the gravel beds. That was a full course yellow, followed by a safety car. Again, the race neutralised, so it was a rather scrappy start for the drivers doing that opening stint, who didn't get very many racing laps in. But when we did get back up and running, Greg Gilbert moved himself up into second place at the expense of Josh Rattigan, and the pit stop started to shuffle the order, and the big winner out of it all was Gabriele Piana, who was able to move his way into contention and eventually up into fourth, and then chip his way forward as Paul Petit led the way in the speed car Audi. Drama at the chicane, Mercedes and BMWs getting together, but Gabriele Piana eventually up to third, moving himself ahead of the Robert Consigny Audi. And then there was this race-changing touch. Around went the McLaren of Mackenzie Cresswell, and within a lap, a penalty of 10 seconds had been given to Piana. So even though he pulled this move on the last lap of the race, the penalty dropped him down the order to fourth position. And then Paul Petit and Greg Gilbert inherited the win at the end of GT4 European Series Race 1 here at Spa. And Audi 1-2. Paul Petit and Greg Gilbert taking their first win of the season. Joachim Bolting, Hendrik Still winning Pro-Am. Right, drivers are ready, I think, at the podium. They want to get some sleep before they go racing tomorrow, and the drivers will be called forward in a moment. The trophies are there, the podium ceremony is ready. And there is Mike Simpson in the Ginetta overalls, what else? And Ethan Gialdini, his co-driver. So a good first time out as a partnership, those two, to come through and score honours in third place. Podium result awaits. Right, we await the drivers to be brought forward. Photographers into place. Got Michael Haverantz there, one of the rookie drivers. Nathan van Springel as well near the podium. Paul Petit is there. Hopefully Greg Gilbert is somewhere. So apologies for the delay, but can't be far off getting the drivers onto the podium. many of the marshals, as you can see, heading for a few hours kit before they're back on post early tomorrow morning. The second GT4 race of the weekend tomorrow, with a grid based on the second of the qualifying sessions, is going to be underway late morning. As there, onto the podium come Mike Simpson and Ethan Gialdini for third place, Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consony for second place, part of that Team Speed Car 1-2. But a very happy Greg Gilbert, first outright win since 2021. Paul Petit, his co-driver, with him. They get to the top step of the podium. Different liveries, but all out of the same stable. Team Speed Car takes a 1-2 at Spa. Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit on the top step of the podium. So the trophies brought forward in the reverse order. Third, second, first. Robert Deschazer, a VIP member of the RAFA Racing Club, hands over the trophies. There for second place, we have Benjamin Lariche at the far end of the podium. Robert Consony with the longer hair alongside him. And then there will be trophies for the winning team and the winning drivers. We've also got the best rookies, Nathan Van Spring or Michael Haverens, onto the podium as well. We appear to have lost trophies for the winner. Where's the presenter for the winner's trophy gone to? Ah, there you are. So there's going to be a team award to Team Speed Car, and then winner's trophies to be presented as well. So Team Speed Car taking a third victory of the season. Two of them have gone the way of Consony and Lariche, and now first one to Petit and Gilbert. That's some intelligent driving at the end, knowing which battle to pick by Paul Petit.
Yeah, good communication from the team to drive and the driver taking it on board. Hard to spot which cars which at night as well, so very, very good job from Paul Petit there at the end.
And you can see how much that means to the team, and also to Mike Simpson and Ethan Gialdini getting that Ginetta into third place, because Mike particularly was vigorous with the champagne. So lots of saturated people. Poor Robert Consony can't get the cork out of the bottle. Now he can, and makes up for lost time. Soaks Benjamin Lariche all down the back of his overalls. One can only assume they bring two pairs. But it's worth all that for the celebration and the result for Team Speed Car. So, good race for the Audi drivers, and it means that Lariche and Consony now are 31 points up over the non-scoring Signoretti and Evans in the championship. Yann Duran and Adrien David did not score either, and now Paul Petit and Greg Gilbert are closer in fourth, ahead of Alex Papadopoulos and Luc Ibanez. Top six rounded out by Ricardo van der Ende and Benjamin Lessen. Gabriele Piana, Beke Bechler next, Mackenzie Cresswell and Josh Rattigan 8th in the points from Yagish Gadic and Pedro Ibrahim, and then Ethan Gialdini scoring today, and Mike Simpson getting his first of the season because it's his first race of the season. Really good though to see a variety of cars all up there mixing it. In the end, Mackenzie Cresswell, after being tagged into that spin, came home 8th. Could have been a lot worse, couldn't it?
Yeah, really could have, and it was hard for him to rejoin, wasn't it? Because he tried to turn left and realised he was going to headbutt the wall, so had to go a full circle right and wait for a few cars where he could feed into. But yeah, the elite team will feel that's a result that's gone missing after starting that race on pole position, of course.
We had a few more replays. Are you still siding with Gabriele Piana? Do you think he was hard done by?
Doesn't let me allow my change my decision,
What?
I'm afraid.
So Gabriele Piana might well buy you a drink if you're on his side. You never know, because he might think you've got a character witness. Onto the podium then now come the Pro-Am teams. That's Joachim Walder with Victor Bouveng. The third-placed crew are already there. Hans Homland and Emil Hurash. And our category winners, Hendrik Still and Joachim Bolting, are about to make their way up the steps as well, onto the podium. And their fourth win out of 5 races, a mighty result for the German team. So Henrik Henrik Still and Joachim Bolting take the class win. And for a fourth victory of the season, very, very impressive effort done that by the WNS Motorsport team that have been running these Porsche Caymans now for a number of seasons. They know all the tricks in the trade. They know exactly how to get the best out of them, and a job well done once more this weekend. The trophies again from RAFA Racing Club to third, to second, and then to WNS. 2 class wins, which is always impressive. The trophies for Henrik Still, for Joachim Bolting, and not only have they had a great start to the season, but Joachim Bolting just gets faster and faster and faster, so there are, in theory, more wins to come.
Yeah, and I think if they get lucky in a race where there isn't a safety car full course yellow and Still is able to get at it, or there's a safety car after a race 2 where the AM starts and Still has a mega stint, they've got a chance of, I think, an overall win at some point this season to go.
Yeah, I mean, because you kind of forget how good Henrik Still is, because we only ever really see him in Pro-Am. You don't think of him as an outright race winner, but he's got the pace to do it, no question, and he has won outright with Max Kronberg going back last year to Hockenheim. So, a delighted Henrik Still. It's a shame he's not in the Silver Cup car, but maybe next year. But Joachim Bolting also getting faster and faster every time we see him, and the Pro-Am drivers then on the podium celebrating their result here. And again, good battle amongst the different brands. But what an advantage in the championship now for Henrik Still and Joachim Bolting. Joachim Balder and Victor Bouveng second, from Stanislav Safronov and Alexander Weintraub. Mathieu Dietrich and Fabien Defieux fourth. And a real shame that we lost the Lotus early on, because that car had shown good pace in qualifying.
Yeah, it really had. The positive is there is a race tomorrow, so the car has another chance tomorrow. The teams will work late into the night to make sure these cars are in pristine condition for that race.
So Henrik Still, Joachim Bolting are category leaders, and with an advantage now that is, what, 49 points. That's going to take some eating into, isn't it? But some good racing again we've had in Pro-Am, and our final podium is for the AMs, and already on it are the drivers of the Schubert BMW, Stefan Nilsson and Mats Olsson. Now onto the podium come Bent Scheibler and Tobias Erdmann. And then the winners are Daniel Bickler and Max Kronberg, taking a second win of the season. So somebody very keen to go home, I think, playing the national anthem even before the drivers have got onto the top step. But hey,
3 seconds, that's enough.
That's enough, Luke.
Thank you.
Yes, we don't know it by now. Well done to Max Kronberg, to Daniel Bickler, and again to WNS. 2 class wins then as the trophies go from David Fulford, another VIP member of RAFA Racing Club, there to our second place drivers. Max Kronberg, Daniel Bickler take the top step, take the trophies, and a trophy to the winning team as well, to W&S Motorsport. Max Kronberg came on a lot last year with the tutelage of Henrik Still. Easy to see why, isn't it? Because he's doing exactly the same now for Joachim Bolting. So instructions from the photographers about huddling together.
Sounds like Jacob Ebrin. There's a distinctive voice from him.
Yeah, it's either Jacob or one of his band of photographers that he has here. It's a marathon weekend for everybody, and so many images required from a weekend like this. Anyway, they've all got the hint, and trophies are held aloft, and champagne is ready to be sprayed, and Daniel Bickler, Max Kronberg get a soaking, and then they can think about tomorrow's race. So as far as the AM Championship is concerned, even though they didn't score today, Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Anthony Debarn are still ahead of Max Kronberg and Daniel Bickler. Igor Sorokin and Keith Gatehouse are next, from Stefan Nilsson and Mats Olsson in 4th, with the Brunhagens 5th in the title race. So more GT4 European Series action tomorrow. It'll be in the daylight in the build-up to the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Join us tomorrow.